Hello everyone, and welcome to the last episode in the Let's Play 80 Days. Tomorrow we're going for Marrakesh, which is only a few days away from London. Hopefully, we might still make it. It's day 75. So, well, there's not much to say other than let's go to bed. Day 76. Our room was decent enough, but I was sure I would not sleep. Day 76. As night fell, I made certain to repack and iron everything to better prepare us for our upcoming departure. It was day 76. We had barely 100 hours remaining to return home. So let's depart to Marrakesh. Go. Charlotte, take us. We boarded the Charlotte, a British mail airship carrying diplomatic papers and not a few puffed up personages to Marrakesh, no doubt bound for the Alawite court in Fez. Captain Edwards walked out with a verse for drink, but still commanded the ship admirably and seemed quite steady on his feet. Monsignor Fogg took against him for some obscure reason and retired to his cabin for the entirety of the journey. Prison Break rocks Port Royal. Foreigners aid notorious pirate escape. Captain Edwards offered me a cigar, which I accepted, and leaned over the airship guardrails as he blew smoke into the cool blue sky. That Fogg's something of a cold fish, isn't he? Very much in the old style. He does have a heart, I assured him, though he does not show it easily. He's lucky to have your service, Captain Edwards observed. A man can be judged by those around him, and you do him credit. The ship rocked as we dropped tether at the docking station outside Marrakesh's ancient fortified walls. Captain Edwards wished me well as we disembarked, and entirely ignored Monsignor Fogg, much to my master's consternation. The city's minareted skyline was veiled in a sandy haze, and the air around was scented unmistakably with bittersweet orange and cinnamon. No, we can't explore. Okay, let's sell this and sell this. And we'll have to wait, I guess. Day 77. Though no longer the Alawite capital, Marrakesh was a city touched by glory. Enormous fortified walls encircled the old city, with trading settlements clinging to the outer ramps. European factories at Customs House ruled the docks, fat and prospering from the vast revenues of the port's imports and exports. I made friends with a young city guard, patrolling the vast gardens and courtyards of the Bahia Palace. He was a queer-eyed, nervous man by the name of Jamil. Have you ever, he asked me, been in love? I have, I said, thinking fleetingly of my Mongolian princess. But I did not elaborate. Jamil looked at his leather boots for a long moment. I'm in love with my commander, he said in a rush, before dragging his eyes up to mine. Do you think I should tell him? What do you risk? Everything, he replied wildly. Do you think it is possible for a man to love above his station, to defy social convention? Of course, he said. We don't control whom you love, after all. That does not mean it will be easy. I only know, he said, his voice desperate, that I love, and that denying it is as impossible as admitting it to him. Jamil shook himself suddenly. You are the first person I have ever told this to. How strange it is. I thank you for listening. I thought much of his words as I walked through the ochre city, but came to few conclusions. Please give me something good. I struck up a few conversations here and there, hunting for options for how we might proceed. Okay, Tangier. Hire extra space, go. Horse-drawn carriage. We hired one of the local mechanized horse-drawn CALECHEs from the garden square between Katuba Mosque and Gemma Elfna. It was only a short journey to Tangier. I'm at your service, Monsignor Fogg. How will we cross the Pacific, Monsignor? There are many options, but which one we will choose will decide our route across the Americas. Money. We are quite comfortable, I must say. Monsignor Fogg and I had to sit facing each other in the canopied vehicle, so naturally I began a conversation. I have dreamed of visiting Have you visited Tangier before? Until I departed London for my wager, I never left the comforting shores of England. Not even Scotland? I was, he said simply, perfectly content. My astonishment kept me silent until our CALECHE deposited us at Tangier. Can we? No, we can't. Okay. Let's get rid of the cloak. Pith helmet. Khaki shorts and ginger tablets. Let's get the ginger tablets. Well, day 78. Tangier, said a guidebook I had once read, is not yet Europe. It is true, but it is no longer Morocco, a sentiment I did not wholly agree with. It is Moroccan enough to be far from home, and with 2 days remaining, every mile counted. With so little time left, I stayed in one place. I found my way to the docks and was quickly engaged in a complicated, meandering argument with a man claiming to be a local customs officer who insisted that the only way out of the city was through him and that it would cost several £100. I paid him, just in case there was something in it, and the man seemed surprised but grateful enough. He took my money and waved to a few fellows who were standing by the door preventing my exit. Enjoy Tangier, he declared, and I crept away, none the wiser and somewhat disgruntled to boot. It didn't help me at all, the bastard. To Lisbon. Okay. In 3 days. Oh my god! We'll never make it. There is no way we can make it. Market. Can I sell something? I can sell the Atlantic on the Russian timetable. The evening jacket. Let's say sell the ginger tablets. And okay, my funds are not unlimited. The manager and 1,000 tomorrow. Okay. That is if we can depart Lisbon tomorrow before 3 o'clock. Okay. Well, I did my best. It's day 79. Day 79, before turning in for the night, I buffed and showed my master's pocket watch. Okay. We'll take the funds and then depart immediately. Come on. Bank. Okay, depart. Go! Day 79. Oh my god, we took a ferry across the Strait of Gibraltar and hired a garden seaport car and 2 drivers, Domingo and Dimas, a pair of twins on European soil. Having a relief driver allowed us to travel all day and night. It was a journey of almost 24 hours exactly. Are you happy to be back in Europe, sir? Domingo asked. I do not know yet. He considered my answer as the stream valve screamed its release. Be traveling long. We shared a smile with Monsignor Fogg before nodding. A while, yes. Hold on tight. Zulu Federation more powerful than first predicted. We fell into silence as the Spanish countryside and towns gave way to Portuguese settlement. I could not stop looking around, even after the sun dipped low on the horizon. Monsignor Fogg was similarly restless. It should have been familiar and comforting, but after such a long time abroad, I looked upon the villages and trees of Portugal as a foreigner from a strange and distant land. Our journey had changed us both, my master and I. That much we could not deny, but barring a miracle, sure we could not make our 80-day target. We reached Lisbon. Yeah, there is not much we can do. In Lisbon we sat down to dine at a charming little restaurant with views across the Iberian coastline. The maitre d' hotel came over to our table as the waiter brought our aperitifs. "Senors," he cried, wringing his hands, "you have a great favor to ask." "I am sure we can accommodate you," I replied placatingly, for the man was clearly at his wits' end. "My foolish brother, what a trial he is to our dear mother, has made a grave error, and we have 2 guests without a table." The matron looked anguished. "Could we possibly impose upon you, senors, and add 2 to your number?" "Of course you may," I declared without glancing at my master. He offered no comment, obviously trusting to my instincts on the matter. The owner ushered a top-hatted English gentleman and his dapper Prussian valet to our table. I did not rate the cut of the Prussian's jacket, and I fancied I saw a hint of redness about his gentleman's chin, bespeaking a heavy hand with the shaving razor. Our masters greeted each other and made the particular sort of an upper-class small talk which forms a gentle background murmur to a servant's ears. Meanwhile, the Prussian valet introduced himself as Dietrich. "I hope the food is up to Herr Montgomery's standard," I remarked. "Herr Montgomery is very particular. A difficult master, is he?" I asked with false sympathy. Dietrich bristled. "I will thank you to keep your personal remarks about mein Herr to yourself, Herr Passepartout." We gave each other a look, the sort of look 2 generals might exchange across a corpse-strewn battlefield. I decided to make an innocuous inquiry and ask what the Monsieur were doing in Lisbon. "Ah, well, the thing is, my master and I," Dietrich paused to chuckle to himself, "we are traveling around the world." You, I sputtered, "you are traveling around the world?" "Yes," Dietrich nodded with satisfaction and leaned closer. "For a wager." I stared at him in silent shock. "Indeed," Dietrich continued implacably, "we are heading to Tangier tomorrow, and from there to South America and across the Pacific." "West instead of east?" I mumbled, as though in a dream. Dietrich ignored me loftily. "And what," he asked with awful courtesy, "are you and your master doing in Lisbon?" "We are also traveling around the world," I told him churlishly, and could not resist adding, "My master and I went the sensible way, and are nearly back to London." Monsignor Montgomery looked up from his plate, his eyes cool and remote. "What a remarkable coincidence," he remarked without expression. "Quite," my master responded. And that was that. We all took our leave with awful echoing politeness, and I made sure to press Dietrich's hand with particular firmness as we parted. I think we understood each other, wallet to wallet. "You seem discomfited, Passepartout," my master remarked with the barest hint of a smile. I did not like Dietrich, I said. He had a thieving, unctuous look about him. I would not be surprised if he were a fraudster, and duping that poor Monsignor Montgomery into keeping him as a wallet. I crossed my arms. "What sort of name is Dietrich, anyway?" "Passepartout," Monsignor Fogg said, with a small sigh in his voice. "You are a man of remarkable depth." As we lay down to sleep, Monsignor Fogg murmured, "Today is the 8th day, Passepartout. We have failed." "Do not lose heart," I advised him. "Indeed not," he agreed. "We must still return home, and as fast as possible." New routes discovered. To London! I took a few hours to explore many possible ways how to depart. Oh, we can embark! Go! We might yet make it! We left Lisbon aboard the Mater de Dieu, an old Torres Cuvando airship with a belly full of Algarve oranges and early season cherries. The smell of ripe flushed fruit would not no doubt tantalize me. Of our one-day journey to London. Wow, we're making it! Monsignor Fogg looked out of the observation deck windows with perfect calm, as though we were not, with every passing moment, drawing closer and closer to London. My nerves were in shreds, and I was nearly chewing the rails with anticipation. I spent the remaining time watching every possible danger, one eye on the crew, the other on the ship, ready to react to the slightest trouble, but nothing broke the peacefulness of our day. We tethered the airship dock in Hyde Park, and felt, for the first time in 80 days, the feel of English soil under our shoes. At long last we had returned to London, and in time to win the wager! We did it! I can't believe it! Look at that trip. This is definitely the longest one that I have took out of the free. My god, was this a journey. Wow. I seized my master by the collar and threw him into one of the steam carriages idling on the banks of the Serpentine in Hyde Park. "To the Reform Club!" I shouted, throwing £50 at the driver, before ejecting the driver from his seat and taking the wheel myself. I threw a lever and opened the throttle. The driver's curses were drowned by a shrieking whistle of the boilers. The streets of London seemed comforting and familiar as they flashed past my well-travelled eyes. The carriages were mostly horse-drawn, and gas lamps rather than electricity lit our way as we raced down Pall Mall. The carriage barely shuddered to a steam-hissing stop before I dragged my master from his seat and up the steps to the imposing doors of the Reform Club. I released him only when we reached the great saloon where my master's erstwhile friends stood from their chairs, gaping in an attitude of great shock. Monsignor Fogg only straightened a little and said, in his calm voice, "Gentlemen, here I am." The room erupted into cheers, and I staggered to the nearest chairs and collapsed heavily into it, my hands shaking. I realized, as though a spell had suddenly broken, that my master had won his wager of £20,000. With the 4,000 we began with, the debt built up from the banks along the way, and our remaining funds, it was a profit of over 14,000, hardly a meager sum. My heart began to beat again, and I saw for the first time the grand interiors of the Reform Club, which had no doubt remained untouched since its founding some 30-odd years ago. The most advanced piece of technology within was a gilded clock set upon the mantelpiece. A few club members were muttering about the impropriety of alighting in front of the club from a steam carriage. One of the club butlers was just taking from our case the sketch of Yokohama. "To go above the mantelpiece, I think," he murmured. "A most fine souvenir of your adventures, Monsignor Fogg, sir." It looked quite fine there, and I smiled with pride. I pushed my way through to Monsignor Fogg, who had nearly been swallowed by congratulatory crowds. "You have won the bet, Monsignor," I told him, as though saying it aloud once more would make it more real. And then repeated the sentiment again, for good measure. Monsignor Fogg pressed my hand warmly, and did not remark even once upon the impropriety of my gesture. Indeed, though his cool gaze did not so much as waver or soften, I believe he welcomed the chance to shake my hand. "Any gentleman would be fortunate to call you his wallet, and you have been a worthy companion to me besides," Monsignor Fogg said, and I knew that, from him, there could be no higher praise. "Mr. Fogg! Mr. Fogg!" one of the journalists in the crowd cried, interrupting our conversation. "What next for the great adventurer, Phileas Fogg, and his loyal valet Passepartout?" My master looked at me. I returned the glance. "I have always wondered what is at the center of earth." I looked around at the faces of the assembled crowd and quirked an eyebrow. "Anyone care to make a wager?" Monsignor Fogg refrained from rolling his eyes. "I believe," he said, with great deliberation, "that tonight I will have supper and go to bed. Come, Passepartout, it grows late." "Yes, Monsignor Fogg," I said, and followed. "Your journey around the world is complete." The Times. Phileas Fogg returns in nick of time. A journey completed in 80 days despite exploding Mississippi paddle steamer arrest in Vladivostok, and American train robbers. So we have visited 20 out of 169 cities, traveled 27,772 miles. Favorite was airship. We traveled 9,600 by sea, 8,800 by land, and 2,092 by air. Character dependable. We spent more than 23,000 on the travel. We were remarkable, comfortable with fog. 20. Anything else? Favorite transport? Airship. So day 4. Wait, can you see that? Vax on the sword. Day 6. Day 19. Lost my heart aboard the train. Day 45. Not a very... What was that? Arrived in Yokohama. Storm at sea. Day 53. Going under. Day 62. Disaster. Day 69. Port-au-Prince. Day 76. Departed for Marrakesh. I'm happy! It was a great journey and I thank you for joining me. I did this all in one session and I hope you might watch it all in one session too. And if you enjoyed it, go and buy the game. There are many more adventures that you can find for yourself. And for me, I'm gonna go listen to the audiobook. So thank you once again for joining me and I hope to see you maybe with another Let's Play, maybe with something else. Who knows? You guys, take care!